Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever edition of Shots Fired here on Doesplay. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Lockdog, and going to join me for the first ever episode, Benny. Hey, how's it going, Benny?
Not too bad, Lock. Just slowly recovering from obviously ACL Sydney over the weekend, but excited to be here and assist you in this first episode.
Yeah, it's hopefully going to be a good one. Basically, for those who haven't seen any of the tweets, it's going to be a wrap-up show of everything that's happened over the last week, everything that's about to happen over the next week in terms of the Australian Call of Duty community, and in the future we'll also be covering some of that NA scene and possibly Europe as well. So we're going to try and cover as much esports as possible in terms of Call of Duty, and then maybe expand even further. But I think the thing that everyone's been talking about, and as you said, you're recovering from it as well, ACL Sydney. Your thoughts? You were the one there. I unfortunately wasn't able to go. How did you find the event?
Yeah, as always, ACL put on a great event. They're very organised, and you don't generally get too many issues with it. It runs very smoothly, as they got a great production team, as you would have seen on the stream and so forth over the weekend. And we had some really good performances from some of the top teams there, as it was a very open field. I mean, anyone could have really taken this event out. Obviously, Mindfreak or Plantronics Mindfreak were able to secure that win, followed by Trident Esports. But as I said, there was a lot of teams up and coming that sort of pushed both of those teams to the limit, as Avant were able to actually defeat Mindfreak in their pool play or pro pool play, but unfortunately fell a little bit short near the end to Trident. So, yeah, some interesting results, but overall, ACL Sydney was such a success.
Yeah, definitely, and I've got these standings up on the screen at the moment for everyone watching the stream, and Plantronics Mindfreak, as we see, BuzzoShock's fighter Dan's first place, really as expected, you got to say. And although they did get 3-0'd by Avant in their pool play matches, they didn't actually play him again in the entire double elimination series. So I think Avant probably would have been really disappointed with the fact that they didn't get to play Mindfreak again after dominating them, I guess, on the first day. And then the bracket play just turned out they had to play Trident in the losers bracket final to try and get to play Mindfreak in the grand final. It just didn't come off for them. They got taken down, and surprise packets really in fourth, Team Awafi, Azzy, Zeus, Dean, and Rival. Benny, tell us a little bit of how that team went. They made the pro pool on pro points, but really just a pick-up team, and no one, I don't think, expected them to come in the top 4, 5, even 6 spots at the event, and they managed to come fourth.
Yeah, certainly. I didn't put them in my top predictions, but as you said, they played extremely well, and especially Rival and I believe it was Zeus. Both of them played extremely well on the second day, especially Rival. That series against Incept, he went off, and that was for top 4, and they were able to knock out Incept, who pushed MF 3-2, so map count round map 5. So they fell a little bit short against MF, but as I said, they were able to stop Incept there. And as I said, Rival played extremely well, and that was a surprise packet. I don't think many people knew much about them, as they were just a pick-up team. So obviously the chemistry wasn't there, considering some of the other teams that had been competing. And they played extremely well, as you said. Their roster did consist of some high-quality players. So, I mean, you can't really put it in perspective that they shouldn't place well. They did have a good roster, but no one put them in that position there, and they come on trumps coming fourth.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected them to outplace Incept or Uproar IG. So that was a big surprise. Obviously, Incept and Ignition's both ending up equal fifth at the event. And that roster change at Incept, Hopi coming in instead, it seemed to work for them as a team, and they were playing a lot better online, and they seemed to be playing better leading up to the event, and they just didn't place as well as they did over in ACL Brisbane. So I don't know whether that's a successful roster change or not, but they seem to be sticking with it. So you have to think that they'd probably be happy with it.
Yeah, actually, I'm a bit surprised they didn't finish as well as they did, but they did play extremely well. As I said previously, they did just lose to MF on map 5. They pushed them to 2-3. They did beat in, I think it was IG the previous day. So they had, and that was in the actual winners bracket. They were able to knock IG in the losers bracket with a 3-2 victory. But yeah, unfortunately, they fell short to Team Awafi. A little bit disappointing for the boys. No doubt they felt like they should have won that one and continued their form from Brisbane and making that T4. But yeah, as I said, they lost in the Search and Destroy map 5 to those guys there. But the surprise packet, really, I thought, I mean, obviously Awafi played well, was Jazen from Trident. There was a lot of pressure on him throughout the whole tournament. I think he stood up to it, and he showed the community that he is a top player and he deserves that spot in Trident's fourth spot in Trident. So I think he deserves a hats off, as he played extremely well. And on the other side of the bracket, I think a little bit disappointing performance coming from Plantronics Envy. Obviously, they're only just a new team lock, but they did fall short in the losers bracket round 3-0 to Team Awafi, actually. So a little bit disappointing from them, especially as they probably would have come in pretty confidently. But yeah, and also IG, as you did mention before, they came 5th, 6th also, and I think a lot of people would have put them in the top 3 predictions.
Yeah, definitely. I had IG up there. Plantronics Envy, I think, Claw Fergs, Vileside of Macca. Obviously, Macca just coming back. Vileside had a bit of a break as well after Champs, and Claw and Fergs haven't really been that prominent in the scene on Advanced Warfare, so I think I probably expected them to come about where they did, maybe a little bit higher, maybe push for that 5th, 6th spot, but I think no real surprises there, considering how good the top 6 really were when you've got IG, Incept, Avant, Trident, Plantronics, and obviously Awafi as well, who played extremely well. And then Elucidate, I think, a little bit more of an unknown team in terms of their players. Obviously, like, everyone knows the players, but probably didn't expect them to step up and get in that top 8. But you know, with only 16 teams at the event, it's definitely open for anyone to go to, but the quality of teams in that top 8 is just huge, and I definitely think ACL Sydney was a big success from everything that I saw and everything that you've seen and explained over the weekend. But talking about LAN events coming up in this next month, July 25th, 26th, it is the Doesplay 10K, and this is going to be one of the the biggest, hopefully the biggest LAN event to ever come out of ANZ COD. Basically, $10,000 up for grab, 5,500 for first place. That is definitely one of the biggest prize pool ever for an Australian LAN that's open to anyone to join in.
Yeah, as you said, obviously the Doesplay 10K, and I think a lot of teams are preparing themselves for this event. See a lot of times on Twitter, people are sort of making sure that they've got the right preparation, and I think that's what Sydney was for a lot of teams, to see their roster and see how they will go at a LAN event and prepare themselves for this Doesplay 10K, and I'm looking forward to it, obviously. You said that it should break the record in most teams entered. Obviously, with the prize pool being that amount, I think it will attract a lot more players actually in the scene. Hopefully we see a few new names actually attending the event. Hopefully they sort of want to compete against the best players, which will be attending. Obviously, you said Mindfreak, Trident, Avant, Incept, all those sort of teams will be competing, and hopefully I believe the faction may be there also. Lock, I'm not entirely sure, but it'll be good to see those sort of players actually compete yet again at another LAN event.
Yeah, hopefully we can see everyone down there. I've seen a lot on Twitter that people are attending, but no sign-ups as of yet, so make sure to jump in, grab your team pass. There's 32 spots available, so there is a cap. Obviously, it's more teams than we've ever had at an Australian LAN, but with such a big prize pool, you'd have to think that those would start to go pretty quickly as we lead up to the event. Obviously, not long before the event, only at the end of July, so make sure to get in quick and grab your passes for that. Just a little bit of news around the Doesplay 10K and also the Pro Series leading up. All DLC maps in terms of for Doesplay competitions, we have removed them from the rotations, and we're just going to follow basically what MLG are doing with their rotations in terms of taking Terrace out of the S&D, bringing back Recovery. Other than that, it pretty much stays the same. Still got Biolab Comeback Detroit for Uplink, Biolab Detroit Recovery, Riot Solar for S&D, and Biolab Detroit Retreat and Solar for Hardpoint. So no real major changes there, just from our point of view, just Recovery coming in instead of Terrace. There is what I'm reading anyway off the screen at the moment. Also, just a bit of news around the Doesplay site in general. The ladders that we do have, they're currently in beta, but we're working through a few bugs, but they will be reset and become fully functional within the next month. So guys, make sure to sign up to those ladders, get playing, find any bugs, feel free to let us know so we can get them fixed ASAP and get this ladder system out so you can just play matches all day as much as you want against teams and not have them dip out on scrims on you, because it's obviously official on Doesplay that you're playing against each other. Also, during events we will have comment threads to both events and ladder matches. That makes sure that the disputes are handled a little bit more efficiently rather than having to do everything on Twitter. We'll be able to do it through the site and you'll be able to directly contact the admins through that chat system. So that'll definitely be a big thing. Also, with the ladders, there will be prizes to be won on those events. We will take the top few players every month and give out some pro points and some prizes as well. So make sure to have a look out for those in the coming month here in July. So a big month here in terms of July for Doesplay. Obviously the 10K, but the Pro Series ladders are coming in. Some huge things happening around in Doesplay, and none smaller than the DPL. It is going to be 5v5 Search and Destroy, Benny. I don't know if you're as hyped as I am for this event, but it is going to be huge. The DPL is definitely going to be just such a fun competition. PlayStation and Xbox. So we're going to jump on and have a look at the PlayStation teams first and who their rosters are for this competition. So we're going to start off with XSAU, Mute, Caustic, Travelord, Zip Zap, Nutsy, and their sub Shads. That's team number 1 for PlayStation 4. Then we've got team number 2, Outcast, Rossier, Bootbra, Pombot, Kanja, Arsenal, and their subs, Zedgy and Carnage. Riot Gaming, Dalerox, Laz, Faded Impacts, Juicy Creative, Crimex, and Vibesor. Rupture don't have their full lineup listed at the moment, so I wasn't able to find out, but they will be in the league. So if you do have information on who is in that team, I think we have received their roster. I wasn't able to update it, unfortunately, but two biggest teams till last, probably the two most important teams in this league, and the two teams I would expect to be playing it out for the top prize. Obviously $1,500 up for grabs in terms of the DPL on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And the Sasquatches, Luca Den, Shocks, Damage, Fate, and their subs, Fighter and Swifty. Everyone knows those names on Xbox, on PS4. They've been playing together for a huge amount of time, and you definitely expect them to be up there. But Tainted Minds, basically the undefeated team in terms of PlayStation 4 5v5. They are absolutely dominant. DSav, Pixel, Mikey, Scrub, Swiftazor, and then their subs, Paranoia and Razor. That is a pretty huge lineup, and I think that even though it's only a 16 league, we didn't get the full 8 in. I think that's going to be a match to be watched for everyone that can get there. Jumping on though, now we're going to have a look at the Xbox teams, and this is something that I know a lot about, and I think, Benny, you'll be able to give a little bit of insight in terms of some of these teams. I think your thoughts on the first team, the Just Dance champs, Posika, Dims, Tezza, Onyx, XL, and their sub Perfect Snipe. You know most of these guys. What do you reckon they're going to be able to pull out here in the DPL?
Yeah, certainly some good S&D players there. Obviously, you mentioned the name Posica. He's been pretty well known in the scene for his fives gameplay. You've got Tezza alongside him. Hopefully, he doesn't choke too hard. No, just joking, Tezza, you'll be all right. But yeah, as you said, really strong fives team, and I've been watching on Twitter at the moment. They look like they're playing pretty well because there've been a few Doesplay fives at the moment. Obviously, you can go to doesplay.com.au to check that out. But yeah, as you said, they are a pretty dominant team. It's going to be hard to take them down. But interesting to see what other teams there is remaining. But you'd have to put them favourites unless there is some other big names competing in this.
Well, there definitely are, and I think you might be surprised with some of the names that do come out. So, Team Storm's going to be the next team. Pixel, Yelza, Kanjo, Wanted, Ridicule, and their sub Vibzer. I think that's going to be another team that definitely to look out for. Yelza, known for his search and destroy play in Ghost 4v4, and definitely can step up when needed. So I think that could be another team that to look out for. Obviously, Most Wanted as well, playing over on that PlayStation. Ridicule been playing 5v5 for as long as I can remember, and Kanjo also over on PlayStation as well, doing some good work over there. So Team Storm, I think, pretty strong team, but some more names that everyone on Xbox pretty used to in terms of 4v4. They're one quarter chicken, Yoshi, Kitty, Azzy, Dean, Mental, and their sub Biz. That's another team that I think, Benny, you might have something to add in terms of how you reckon they're going to go in this comp.
Yeah, they're definitely going to compete against Just Dance champs. That's a pretty strong lineup. Some of those members are players of the Avafi team that previously came fourth at ACL Sydney. Interesting to say they got Biz as sub. He is an underrated player and he can definitely turn it up there, but obviously sub always comes in handy when someone's not able to play. But yeah, that's a strong side there, and I think they'll probably compete against Just Dance champs. I mean, I would have put them favourite to start off with, but hearing that roster there, extremely strong. I'm surprised Avant Blue isn't playing unless he's in another roster, as he's a little bit of a god. He did request me to shout that out on stream for him. But as you said, yeah, that's a really strong roster, especially seeing Azzy and Dean, I believe it was.
Yeah, Azzy, Dean, and then you've got Envious Kitty, who's obviously been over to COD Champs. Yoshi, who's played in a few good teams. He played for Envy at ACL Brisbane. So, strong team along with Mental, who's he's played a lot of fives as well. So he knows what he's doing. I'll pretty much I'll just read out the lineup and leave this one to you completely, because I can't comment too much on my own team. The Chaos Koalas, Rob, myself, Jugger, Jacko, Deadly, and our two subs, Stubbs and Carry. Thoughts on that team, Benny?
Well, I'm surprised. First thing I'm going to say is, why do you have Kerry as sub? He's going to carry you guys to victory. He's a machine, that guy. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to do too well, as they've got you in the main roster there, Locke. But you and your geek nades, I'm sure you'll pull it through there. But that's another strong team yet again. Interesting to see how you guys perform against the other two names that have been mentioned. Who else was in the roster? Sorry, yourself, Deadly.
Deadly, Jugger, and Jacko from Team Respect, or formerly from Team Respect anyway, and Rob himself.
Ooh, okay, Rob. Yeah, that's your problem there. He did attend ACL Sydney in the past week also,
Good old bus control didn't have the best event.
Oh, he said he said he performed well. There's a few people that said he did play well, but looking at his KD, it was like .48 or something. So I'm not entirely sure whether that is correct information. But
yeah, I think his kills per respawn was about 8.4. So it's probably not quite what you need from a top player. But obviously no respawns in the 5v5 S&D league. So I think that's probably going to be a factor in how well he plays.
Just make sure you got friendly fire off, as you'll probably be nading your own teammates there. But nah, surely that team, it's got you in at lock, so how can it not perform well?
Oh, well, it's good to hear your kind words, but coming up against the next team, the Sasquatches, yet again, Luca Den, Shocks, Damage, Fate, and their subs, Fighter and Swifty. They're playing on both platforms. They're playing on PS4. They're playing on Xbox. They're playing in the ACL COD League. They played at Sydney. They just play COD. That's just what they do. They dominate, and why wouldn't you when you're that good? We've already really heard what you've said, what we've had to say about that team. They are looking to dominate a 5v5 league, but it'll be interesting to see how they adapt from their 4v4 and whether some changes come out. But well, basically, I think we'll skip over them. We've already talked about them once. So next, NZ Host Warriors. They think they can out-host on S&D. A little bit interesting. But Cruz, Queasy, Sesley, Morgs, Typical, and their subs AJ and Malps. I think another team that could do well, but against the massive lineup of teams that have that we've already read out, I think they might struggle a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. It's always harder competing against the Aussies on that internet connection there. And as you said, we've got some big names. So, I mean, there are underdogs there. Definitely they can take a couple of maps off other teams, but I don't think they're really going to compete against some of the names you have mentioned there. But interesting to see how they go. It's anyone's match, really. S&D, it's one of those game modes in this advanced warfare that anyone can really take out. So, be interesting to see how they compete against the Aussies.
Yeah, it will be. And 2 more teams left. 8-team league for the Xbox, which is great to see that we filled up all 8 spots. Elucidate, the next team to come in. Matman, Lynx, Jacko, Glazer, and Resnix, and their subs Axie and Fibers. I think that's a team that could surprise a few people in terms of 5v5. They have been playing a lot of comps in terms of their Doesplay 5s, night comps, and they have been playing pretty well.
Yeah, certainly. I've heard a few of those names on that roster. Actually, heard all of them. And I think Glazer was playing at ACL Sydney the past week. But I think Matman's actually a pretty good S&D player to my knowledge. I've played him a few times, especially in 5s, and I think he's been carving up in the last 5s matches that you said on the Doesplay event. So interesting to see how that team will go against the names that you've previously mentioned. But yeah, I think they might come out and surprise a few teams, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think they will. And the final team there on the list, the Pink Flamingos, Dilemma, Steglers, Invincible, Restalling, Matt, and Sub of Crads. It's a pretty interesting roster there from them. I think that's going to be another team that will do well against teams like Elucidate and the Host Warriors, but against the rest, it's a pretty strong lineup. So I don't know how they're going to go. They could surprise a few people though, with a few sneaky pushes and a few rushes that might catch us off guard.
Yes, certainly, but unfortunately you can't get streaks extremely easily in Search and Destroy, so I think it's going to be hard for those boys to get a couple of wins, to be honest, Locke.
Yeah, definitely could be, but we'll have a look at exactly what these teams are facing in terms of their first matches. We'll have a look at their round 1 matchups coming up for the DPL. For those who don't know, 5v5 S&D, it is classic mode engaged, so no EXO abilities, no jumping around the map. It's classic Call of Duty, 5v5 Search and Destroy, no real attachments, very few perks, and stripped back as much as possible. Just you and a gun and a grenade, and you've got to work your way with your team to take out the other side. It's 15 rounds a half, so you play 15 rounds of attack, 15 rounds of defense, and whoever comes out on top after the 30 rounds is going to be your victor in the match. So let's go through. The Sasquatch is coming up against 1 Quarter Chicken. That's going to be a huge match. Obviously, Luca Den, Shocks, Damage, and Fate coming up against Yoshi, Kitty, Azzy, Dean, and Mental. That's a huge round 1 matchup.
Some massive names coming in that roster there. You can't really predict a winner, I don't think. It could go either way, but yeah, some massive names. Hopefully that one gets live stream, as it'd be good to watch for the spectators.
Definitely be trying to jump in as many DPL matches as possible. So if you are playing in the league and you do want to have your match streamed, make sure to send a DM to myself or the Doesplay ANZ COD account. Even just tweet at it, and we'll try and organise a stream, whether it be by me, whether it be by someone else, to try and stream and cast your DPL matches on the Doesplay Twitch channel, which you are watching this current show, Shots Fired, on right now. But game number 2, Team Storm up against the Pink Flamingos. Pixel, Yelza, Kanjo, Wanted, and Ridicule up against Dilemma, Steglers, Invincible, Restalling, and Matt. I think you can probably think that Team Storm, they probably have the upper hand in this one, but the Pink Flamingos, they can definitely pull something out. And I think that's a match that could go either way, but you definitely expect Team Storm to go. Now, I think you'll be enjoying predicting this next matchup. It's the Chaos Koalas. It's my team up against the Just Dance champs. It's me versus my producer sitting next to me, XL. He's grinning over in the corner there, and he's ready for you to let us know what you think's going to happen in that match.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty comfortable 2-0 to Just Dance champs, Lock, and there's no more to say there, mate.
Oh, fair enough. Comfortable 2-0. Interesting when you need 16 rounds to win, but that's
well, we'll make that 32-0 then.
Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough for that one. Okay, I'll skip over that one, but yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a big match for myself. I did say that I think we can beat the Just Dance champs. They are pretty much almost undefeated in terms of X5v5, but we were able to take them down in a couple of comps. Not so recently though; they've definitely stepped up a notch. But I said we could probably take them down and get a win as long as it wasn't in round one, and we pulled them round one straight away. Just Karma Train hitting me like a bus, and that was good night for me.
The only problem is if you do defeat, and we're going to have to listen to Bosika on Twitter whinging for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I think it's going to be extremely hard for you to beat that squad there, especially with Excel in it. He's pretty good in his search and destroy. He's probably got a smirk next to you right now as he hears this. But yeah, that's a pretty solid squad, and as you said, they're pretty hard to defeat.
Yeah, definitely are, and we go to the last game, the match number 4, the NZ host Warriors up against Elucidate. I think this is a match that could definitely go either way. It's another match that really sets up one of these teams. If either of these teams lose this match badly, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to come back into the league, and it's only round 1.
Yes, certainly, as you said, it could go either way. It all depends who's really hosting that one. But I think the team of Matman and so forth should come on top. Just because of the fact I know those players a little bit more, and they've been practicing these fives. They have been playing the recent events, so I think that should come to their advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Just quickly, we're going to go on to the PlayStation matches, which on the graphic actually says Xbox 5v5. That was my bad. So sorry about that, guys. But this is the PlayStation 4 matches coming up. I wasn't able to get their rosters on the graphic as well. But basically, don't really know a lot about these teams, but I know the Sasquatches, and I think they probably will take out their first match against XS AU. I think that's pretty much a done deal, and then Tainted Minds as well. I don't think they've pretty much never lost a map on 5v5 S&D, and in terms of in terms of Advanced Warfare. So I don't see them doing it in round 1 against Rupture, who unfortunately had to have a roster change last minute for to make this league even happen for themselves. And then Riot Gaming versus Outcast, I really don't have any idea about those two teams, but I definitely think after a couple of weeks of this league, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about these teams and where they're sitting on the ladder in this one. But I definitely think DPL is going to be a huge league, and we're going to try and stream as many of those matches as possible and get 5v5 back in the spotlight. Really, obviously, still we got to talk about 4v4, and we still are going to have to talk about the ACL COD League, which is still going and is we'll actually have a look at the standings in a second. But Benny, in terms of this week, it's roster week. They can change rosters. We just had LAN. Teams that didn't perform very well at LAN probably going to look to make some roster changes. It's a lot of the time what happens, and roster week in the ACL leagues is definitely a big point that they can do that and try and get new players in. Yeah,
certainly. As you said, it generally happens the week after LAN. But seeing as we got Doesplay 10K coming up so soon, I don't think there will be actually many roster changes. I can't see any of the top 6 T6 teams actually making any changes, just for the fact that they all did perform pretty well throughout the tournament, and there was no one that really, as you would say, shat the bed. So I can't see many roster changes coming through, but saying that, there always is one that sort of catches off by surprise. So it'd be interesting to see which team decides to make the first roster change and cop a little bit of criticism on Twitter.
Yeah, well, it will be interesting. Obviously, we have seen a few roster changes happen already, really, with the leagues. If you have a look at the rosters currently, as they currently stand in terms of officially for the ACL COD League, there's teams like Mega, who are still Eminence, Hysteria, Lambo, and Jarzen. Obviously, Jarzen's left that team now and has gone, has moved over. So it's really there are going to be a few changes. I think it's going to be interesting to see who joins Mega in terms of that one, because I don't believe Hysteria is going to be in that team anymore, and Lambo I'm not 100% on there, but I think Eminence is basically going to have to rebuild his team again from scratch. And looking at their placing at the moment, they're currently sitting 7th. They're 2-4 in terms of win-loss. They've won 8 maps, lost 14, and that's not a good position to be sitting, especially when you're going to have to change your roster straight after.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be a little bit hard to get that momentum back in their swing of things. But saying that, there's always that chance. I mean, you can never really write off a team, especially in this. They're all high caliber players. But as you said, that connection with most of the top, I believe it's a series, eight in the league. I think it's going to be very difficult for Mega to bring this back. But saying that, they've always got that chance. It's just a matter of finding that roster. And with such short time to Doesplay 10K, they don't really have much time to sit on the fence there and weigh up their options.
Yeah, that's right, and it's definitely a big thing not to have a roster change too close to your LAN, and I think a lot of teams did suffer from that coming into Sydney. They just weren't prepared for a LAN event so close to Brisbane. Like they had their roster changes and then they had to go straight away again. Teams obviously aren't quite used to having so many LANs in the ANZ COD scene at all. Like they haven't had this many LANs in 1 year ever, so it's just definitely a different step for these teams. I think, in my opinion, you just got to take a leaf out of Mindfreak's book. They've made one roster change in 3 years, and they're continually the best team for the last 3 years. You know, you can't really deny that. Obviously, they are some of the best players going around, but team stability is a massive part in the fact that they are still up the top. And I think another one you got to look at is Ignitions. Obviously, they do have occasional changes, but those players, Hydra, Killer Pie, Backerbeck, and even Zeus, even though he's not in the team, those four, usually there's 3 of them in the same team. They're always playing together. They know each other inside out, and as long as there's three of those 4 playing together in one team, they're always going to do well, and that's exactly what they've done. They're currently sitting first in the league. They're 5-1 in terms of win-loss. They've won 15 maps. They've only lost 4 in their 6 matches that they've had, and they're just sitting above Mindfreak even at the moment. Mindfreak 5-1 with 15-5 in terms of maps. So they're the 2 standouts definitely in the league so far, and it'll be interesting to see where all the other teams sit coming into the next few weeks of this league.
Yeah, certainly. As I said, there are the 2 dominant teams at this current stage. But you got to also include Trident in there, I think. They've had the same core 3 for quite some time now. You've got, well, not quite some time, but their 3 has got a really good connection. You've got Beeson, Chileans, and Damage. I think those 3 there are pretty solid. And adding Jazzin into that group now and able to use him in the leagues, I think it's going to only help them further on. So, and interesting to see whether they can clutch up near the end there and sort of push those other 2 teams, as you said, both Mindfreak and Ignitions. And no doubt that they will. The other one there is obviously Avant. They've got a pretty strong roster. I'm not sure whether they've updated that in the leagues, but it'd be interesting to see. I mean, they're all strong at the end of the day, so you can't really write off one team to another. But yeah, definitely Trident. I think they're sort of the underdogs at this stage, and I think they'll perform pretty well.
Yeah, Avant currently sitting with Issei, Wolfie, Barney, and Blue as their 4, and they're 3-3, 11-12 in terms of maps. So they're going okay in terms of the league. They're sitting in the top 4, which is means they're finals bound at this stage. But they're equal 4th, which is actually incorrect. They're currently sitting standout of fourth there in that league. And then over on at the bottom, Team Skyfire, Bundo, Flares, Nimble, and Rival is their current roster in terms of officially. I really haven't heard much out of that team, and they're currently sitting 1-5 in terms of win-loss. They've only won one game out of their 6. They've only won 6 maps, and 3 of those would have had to be in their winning game. So in the other 5, they're currently 3-16, and that's really not a good look for them in terms of in terms of how they're playing. They definitely need to step up and find something, whether that's a roster change, whether that's just sticking together and working at their strats, working out what they're doing wrong, and taking advantage of other teams maybe being a little bit unstable and jumping on that opportunity. But at the moment, it's Team Skyfire down the bottom. We'll see if they can jump up a few. And I think another surprise, Incept. They're currently 6th. Lakey, Excite, Jake, Hope here. You wouldn't expect that lineup to change at all. And they're currently 2-4, 10-13 in terms of maps. Everyone's pretty much played each other once. They only really one more match to go before everyone has played each other once, and it's interesting to see that they're currently sitting 6th.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised there. I totally forgot about Incept in the leagues, but you expect them to be a top 4 team. You just got to look at their roster, and adding Hopi to that roster, I think it adds a little bit of stability in that sort of mature head. And you did see that at LAN. He sort of kept them composed. They were able to clutch up in those larger games. So it's actually a little bit disappointing to see them in 6th, but no doubt they will bring that back, and they'll finish off the season strong.
Yeah, I definitely think they will, and that's pretty much covered everything in terms of the ACL COD League. We don't have I don't have a list of the upcoming matches, unfortunately, but I definitely think that all these teams are going to have tough matches, because every team there has a strong roster. Roster changes, basically the odds version of Roster Mania coming up this week. It's going to be huge, and I think it's something that we definitely are going to have to cover in next week's edition of Shots Fired. All the roster changes that are going to be coming up in terms of that one. That is going to be a huge a huge factor in how a lot of the teams go heading into their finals, heading into the second half of the league. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how the teams form.
Yes, certainly. Looking forward to it. Hopefully, we're able to watch a few more games on a stream in the second half. But it's definitely going to be a tight finish, and it's good to see a lot of teams actually wanting to play in the league. I mean, you've got the likes of Mind Freak playing in it, so obviously the competition is pretty high with those guys there. But looking forward to the finish, high end, or the you'd say what would it be, the dirty end of the season now. So it's where the champions are made. So let's hopefully see some good matches.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a heap of good matches in the ACL COD League, but there's a whole heap of leagues going on. There's obviously the 4v4 leagues at ACL. There's a 5v5 DPL coming in, Xbox and PlayStation for Doesplay. And there's also going to be the Doesplay 10K coming up, and the Pro Series as well. So there is a heap of events for you guys to sign up. On that, there is a Pro Series tonight, and it will be streamed. So, guys, even though we're on this channel right now, we'll be wrapping up pretty soon here for the first edition of Shots Fired, and later on we will be jumping into the semi-finals and grand finals of the the Doesplay Pro Series, brought to you by Turtle Beach. But that's basically going to be it for Shots Fired. It's a pleasure to really start off this show. I think it's been an okay first episode. Obviously, we need as much feedback as we can get. It was a little bit rushed in terms of the graphics, as you may have saw, but I think we can definitely step up next week and make this show as interesting as possible and get as much information to you guys about everything to do with Call of Duty, in terms of mainly Doesplay, but also ACL and maybe the NA scene as included in that. And also, if you'd like to see any other games featured on this show, or if you would like to join in the conversation on Shots Fired, then definitely send Doesplay ANZ COD a tweet, or send me a tweet/DM. My DMs are open for you guys to send in anything you would like to give feedback on in terms of this show. Obviously, thanks Benny for joining me very last minute, but it was great having you on to help me out for the first episode. And last words from you.
No, thank you very much for having me, Lockdog and Doesplay. As you said, it was a little bit rushed, but hopefully we can continue these series on. No doubt you will. And it's good to see someone sort of in the community getting on board and starting this. Obviously, we need a little bit of an article. I mean, Nike does it here and there, but I think we need more of a facts and update on the community. So it's good to see Doesplay get on board and sort of helping the community in that sense.
Yeah, you gotta love Nike's conformed sources. I remember I actually was supposed to give him a little bit of a shout out. His most recent tweet, he did say that Hysteria is going to join IG and Scrism is going to be taken out in terms of that roster changes for the ACL COD League. So that's some intel, apparently a conformed source there from Nike. So Immortal Nike giving you all the intel there. Hopefully anything that he leaves open that we can fill in the gaps for him in terms of that one. But guys, again, make sure to send in any feedback you have on the show, whether it's you want to see more gameplay or any gameplay in terms featuring the show, you want to see more presenters, you want to see more information on certain things, or whatever it may be, you please just write into us in terms of tweeting at me, DMing me, whatever. I'll take all your criticism and all your feedback and try and make this show as good as possible for all you guys. But again, thanks for watching. This has been the first episode of Doesplay's Shots Fired. I've been Lockdog. Joining me is Benny, and I'll see you later tonight for the Pro Series.